get started, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, good morning. I am Mario Gangemi, the chair of the MDTA Capital Committee and conducting this morning's meeting. I hereby call the Capital Committee meeting to order at 9:01 a.m. In accordance with the live streaming law, this meeting is being conducted via video conference and live streamed on the MDTA Capital Committee page. As a reminder, all members of the Capital Committee will have their video active during the entirety of the meeting. To minimize background noise, we do ask that everyone in the line mute their phones, unless, of course, you are presenting or answering a question, and we would ask that you have both your video and audio on when speaking. And when you are done, with the exception of the Capital Committee members, turn your video off and put your audio on mute. As of right now, there are no members of the public, no elected officials, and no media that have pre-registered to comment on today's meeting. Therefore, we can move on to item number 1, which is approval of the open session meeting minutes of May 4th, 2023. I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
So moved by Member Cox.
Second.
Second by Member Gaines. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, we got all of us, so we can now move on to Lillian to talk about contract 2020-01B, which is the SBR Structures Inspection Program and miscellaneous engineering services. Lillian, you're on.
Good morning, members, and thank you for having me this morning. This morning I'll be presenting contract 2020-01B. Much like the contract 2020-01A, which was awarded back in 2021 for facilities inspection services, this contract is similar in scope, but slated for an SBR firm. The scope of work involves the inspections of workhorse bridges, ancillary structures, roadways, and traffic safety features. And it's an opportunity for qualified small businesses to bring their engineering personnel to the forefront and to oversee an entire inspection contract while managing its dynamic nature and meeting the demands of the scope. The contract was procured under the competitive sealed proposal request with graded technical and cost proposals. The SBR is the first of its kind to be advertised for facility inspection services. The engineer's estimate involving direct costs, labor, and incidentals amounted to $5 million. And this amount was set as the advertised contract amount. The contract was advertised on February 8th of 2022 with a deadline to submit proposals on April 26th of 2022. Cost proposals were solicited on February 2nd of 2023 and were due on February 23rd of 2023. We had 5 technical proposals that were received and reviewed and also evaluated by the committee. Technical scores revealed that Transtech Engineering Consultants, a local small business consulting firm, ranked number 1 and was recommended for award. Transtech Engineering, the awardee, has been on numerous inspection contracts for the MDTA as a sub. In addition, the firm has been involved in repair task orders and repair contract development for many years with the MDTA. All firms that were not awarded the contract requested a debriefing. Under this contract 2020-01B, the MBE goal is 20%, with sub-goals of 7% for African-American owned firms, 10% for women-owned, and 1% for veteran-owned small businesses. All price negotiations have been successfully completed, with Transtech meeting the MBE VSBE goals. Notice to proceed is anticipated in August of 2023. The contract duration is set for 4 years, or about 1,460 calendar days. We are seeking recommended approval from the Capital Committee to present this contract to the full MDTA board in anticipation for approval for the contract award. Thank you.
Thank you, Lillian. And any questions from the members?
I have a question. I mean, isn't it a little unusual where you're setting the price and then asking if anybody's interested, other than having them bid on the different unit prices?
That
I think
is
it's-
common practice. That's how we've done it in the past.
Is that how you've done the engineering contract?
I'm sorry?
We see different pricing coming under. There's the answer, man. So.
Yeah, Member Gaines, I just wanted to comment that with architectural and engineering contracts, law, there's what's referred to as the Brooks Act. It requires that they are qualifications-based selections so that you don't want to low bid your engineer, right? That's typically not viewed as a good practice, and there's been historically problems with that. And so that's why the selections for these are based on qualifications and their statement of work and their capabilities, not on their pricing.
I assume that they.
I just didn't. I thought a lot of these engineering contracts, that's one of the things you consider the price. I guess.
I assume you look at their unit rates, though, right? They provide unit rates.
They have to comply
Yeah.
with certain state requirements in terms of overhead rates and things like that.
Right.
I mean, they're fixed fee amounts, but the structure is different.
Is there an escalator as this thing drags on for 4 years? I mean, did they start at one price and get a little bit more every year, or no?
I'm sorry, I missed that question.
Okay, I mean, there's no escalator on this job.
No, it's a $5 million contract that they can utilize whichever funds are required for their assigned scope of work across a 4-year period. So they could be assigned in 1 year, say $1 million. In the following year, they could be assigned $500,000. But the idea is to manipulate the $5 million so that we can, of course, utilize all of it within 4 years, and possibly, typically we do have funds remaining that we can extend it beyond that time period by possibly 6 months to a year. So the use of the cost is variant to the scope assigned to the firm.
What, I know you only listed the one. In the past, we've seen a ranking on some of these. So how did, were they like head and shoulders above the other? I think you said you had 5.
Yeah. I had the notes in case you asked that question, but it was actually, yes, it was a tough competition. There were 2 that were neck and neck that I truly wanted to. The one firm that was awarded was pretty much very close to the second firm, who I truly wanted to see come into the authority with some fresh eyes on the structures. They almost made it. They're a great firm to work with. I hope they come back. I did debrief and encourage them to come back again. It's great to see some new blood working on her facilities. So they were all close. Yes.
What differentiated? You're not naming names, obviously. What differentiated them? Why did they fall to second place and why did they not make the cut? Like, what was the criteria that caused that?
There was, honestly, there was the sample assignment question. And the 2 questions that I had written, I was looking for information that would encourage the inspections of our bearings on various facilities to be made easier and better with variable consultants and sub-consultants and the dynamics of the contract. There's numerous repairs that are generated that vary from one consultant to another. And the question was, given this facility, how would you code and recommend repairs for certain bearings across the numerous bridges on BHT? And the firm, I don't believe, well, they were new. They were not familiar with the BHT facility. That's one. But that didn't disqualify them, or lower their points rather. They missed a really important concept that I was looking for, which was monitoring bearings that are outside of normal temperatures. That was a biggie. And they just missed that, which again, the sample assignments weigh the most, so they lost, unfortunately, the most points.
Okay, no, I appreciate that. That's extremely technical and extremely important.
Okay.
Well, great. Any other questions for Lillian, or is there a motion for approval of this contract? So moved by Member Cox, second by Member Gaines. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that was all of us. So that passes. Lillian, we appreciate it. You have a great rest of the day.
Great. Thank you, members.
Thank you, Lillian. Thanks for your comments.
Welcome.
Now we have Jeannie, who's going to talk to us about the FY 24 to 29 draft CTP. Or not.
Good morning.
She's starting to push you out front a little bit more, I've noticed. That's good.
Yeah, my God, Janie's changed places.
All right.
Getting there. So
All
good
right.
afternoon. I'm Jennifer Stump, the Assistant Capital Program Manager. Today I am presenting the proposed fiscal year 24 to 29 draft CTP and seeking your recommendation for approval. This will also be presented to the Finance Committee on June 8th and to the full board for final approval on June 29th. The 6-year fiscal year 2024 to 2029 budget and the proposed CTP is $2.7 billion. The proposed CTP reflects a net increase in the 6-year fiscal year 2024 to 2029 budget of $169.7 million as seen in Attachment 1, Line 6. So please refer to Attachment 1 for the reasons for the increase. Looking at Attachment 1, Line 1 shows a decrease in the 6-year CTP budget by $19.1 million for the Nice Middleton Bridge. Line 2 shows a decrease in the 6-year CTP budget by $7 million for the I-95 ETL Northern Extension. Line 3 shows an increase in the 6-year CTP budget by $178 million for all projects except the Nice Middleton Bridge, the I-95 ETL Northern Extension, and the reserves. Line 4 shows an increase in the allocated and unallocated reserves by $17.9 million. And line 6 shows a net total of the increase of $169.7 million. So moving to attachment number 2, for new projects added, there was 9 system preservation projects added for an increase of $6.6 million in the fiscal year 2024 to 2029 period. Modified budgets to reflect bids received. 1 project was adjusted to reflect bids received that was lower than the engineer's estimate for a net decrease of $7 million. For added construction phases, the construction phase of 4 projects was funded for a total of $114.9 million transferred from the reserves as design reached 60% and cost estimates were developed on fully developed scopes. For modified budgets to reflect completed projects, there was 25 projects that were completed and 1 deleted with no budget change in the fiscal year 2024 to 2029 period. For modified active projects due to cost changes and cash flow adjustments, adjusted cash flows and funded changes in engineering and or construction budgets for 50 projects for a net budget increase of $37.3 million. In the reserve changes, the allocated reserves increased by $13.9 million and the unallocated reserves increased by $4 million. The last section of attachment 2, The budget for the projects combined with the reserve changes show the net increase in the fiscal year 2024 to 2029 time period is $169.7 million, which matches the total change on line 6 of attachment 1. Moving to attachment 3, the pie chart reflects the locations of the $2.7 billion proposed draft CTP. 36% at Kennedy Highway, 17% multi-area projects, 13% at the Bay Bridge, 11% at the Harbor Tunnel, 8% at Fort McHenry Tunnel, 8% at the Key Bridge, 3% at Hayden Bridge, and 3% at the ICC. Moving to attachment 4, this pie chart reflects the categories of the $2.7 billion proposed draft CTP. There's 31% in structural preservation, 30% in safety and capacity improvements, 14% in highway preservation, 7% in enhancements, 4% in bridge replacements, 4% in campus facility preservation, 4% in campus facility improvements, 3% in tunnel preservation, 2% in environmental projects, and 1% in the unallocated reserves. And again, we are seeking your recommendation to take it to the board for final approval at the end of this month.
Any questions for Jennifer? Yes, sir.
Is this what you presented? Thank you very much, and tell Jeannie we said hello. Any further, you think, adjustments at this point before the final CPP is presented?
At this time, I do not believe there will be any additional adjustments unless anything emergency comes up.
Any further questions or a motion to approve the FY 24-29 draft CTP? Okay, we got a motion. And we got second by member Enzer. All right. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that was everybody.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you. And now we will move to Joe Quattrone, who's going to talk about MA 2868-0000, which is our electronic toll system ETC 3G Customer Service Center Services Collection Contract Modification number 2. Can we shorten that up next time? I'm kidding. You're still muted, Joe.
Sorry about that.
There you go. It's all
right,
good.
Thank you. Thank you, board members. MDTA is seeking approval for a second mod on contract MA 2868 electronic toll system, the ETC 3G project. Punch list items remain for phases 1, 2, and 3. The contractor has commenced and continues to complete software releases to resolve punch list items with planned release dates. As a result, another time extension modification is necessary to further extend time and the completion dates for phase 1, 2, and 3, and the respective punch list and final system acceptance items. This is necessary due to additional work being added to the project, including performing tasks for multiple legislatively mandated activities, performing various externally requested data queries, and extending the customer assistance plan, and addressing MDTA assigned work requests. MDTA is requesting the date be changed to October 31, 2023 for all punch list items and final system acceptance items to be corrected and completed to MDTA satisfaction. The modification is also necessary to align the electronic toll contracts for MA 2257, this is the CAPS piece, the lane side, and MA 2868, the back office transcore piece, so that both have the same contract end date of February 28, 2028. Additional funding is needed to complete phase 4, years 1 and 2 of the contract due to the alignment of the two electronic toll contracts, coupled with a higher volume of accounts than what was originally anticipated. And additional funding will be needed in the future for phase 4, years 3 through 6. But this is not included in this mod. Years 3 through 6 is not included. Mod 2, this mod, will add $44,317,717.58 of new funds to the 6-year base term of the contract, resulting in a revised contract amount of $307,853,301.37 for the 6-year base term.
Hey, Chairman, can I interrupt you a minute?
Sure.
How long is this contract for again, Joe?
It's a 6-year base term.
Okay.
MDTA is requesting board approval for a BPW review in the July timeframe, July of 2023. And that is my presentation.
Thank you, Joe. So it's a lot of money. And it's strictly due to one, because when the contract was originally written, we thought we would still have cash collection. Correct?
Correct.
And now we haven't for quite some time. It's all electronic tolling, so that's part of it. And then the other part of it is it's been extended an additional 214 days.
That's correct.
It's those two. Those are the two big pieces of that equation that result in $44 million.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Still seems like a lot of money, but I got to trust you guys on that.
How much was the legislative mandated work?
Good question.
How heavy was that?
Yeah, can you expand on that, Joe? The legislative kind of increase.
Yeah, I mean, Will's added himself, but SB 59 was a legislative report that was required software changes from the back office. That was one major one.
Almost seems unfair that our toll payers have to cover that.
Details of our contract.
Let me just be clear too that when we're talking about legislative things, what Joe is saying is we gave the contractor a number of task orders to complete that added scope to the contract and that took time to complete. We already had the funding within the contract to pay for those task orders. What we did not have is the time. And so this time extension that's being added increases the overall duration of the contract, moving it to February of 2028. Joe, I'm sorry, I forget. It's 200 and some days, as you mentioned. I don't remember the original planned end date, but the additional money is for us to get additional contract time to be able to leverage the services for longer. So I just want to be clear that we are getting value out of this additional time. The value of the task orders that we approved to do the items like the legislative actions for SB 59, I think we'd have to go back and tally those. I don't think we have that today. That's a separate amount from this 44 million.
Right. Can you remind me what the end date is again at this point, this modification?
February 28th, 2028.
2028. which is not really that far away when you think about things. So are we, when will we be advertising for this again, I guess maybe is my question. I know it's not next year or the year after that, but it's got to be coming up soon, and we've got to take these lessons learned and make sure we don't have this happen the next time around.
This is Donna. We talked about the 6-year base term. There's also 2 renewal terms. Joe,
Gotcha.
can you share base amounts?
Share what, Don? I'm sorry, you cut out.
Yeah.
The renewal amounts, there's a 6-year base term with 2-year renewal options, transition term, all the items that were on the board item. The original BPW item and the awarded contract renewals as well as a transition.
So you got the 6-year base, you got two renewal options, and I think the question is where.
Don't quote me on the 2 years, but I know there are 2 renewal options. We're looking them up right now.
Right.
Yeah, let me back up a hair here. So there's 2 things that are happening at the same time. The last item that the board approved that was just presented on the CTP. If you look at attachment 2 that was provided, there is the MA 2590 contract. That's what would be the 4th generation tolling contract. That would allow us that if we get to the point where we decide we don't want to move forward on the renewals, we would have a path forward to advertise a contract.
Right.
However, we also have the option to renew twice with 2 years each to add 4 years possible total and stay with our existing vendor. So we have options there, and obviously the board can kind of weigh in if you feel like the way the contract is going, the pricing and all, it makes it worth it to go through another transition and deal with the challenges of potentially switching vendors, all the things that come with that. So that is something that we're going to be poised to go in either direction if need be, but we have the options there.
Good morning, members. For the record, this is Jeff Davis, Deputy Director of Procurement. Just wanted to clarify, the original contract term is 6 years, but that did not start until acceptance. So that acceptance, I believe, was in 2021. So the contract current expiration date was 7/29/27, which is inclusive of the original transition and accepting, and then the base term. And then after that, we have 2 renewal options. So to Will's point, we hope to be ready, if needed, to advertise by 2027 if we wanted to move on to a different contract. I don't know. I don't want to put words in Will's mouth, but I think that's what he was stating.
Well, and when we approve this, it pushes it all the way to February of 2028. Easy for me to say. So,
Correct.
All right, I got it.
It's important to note too that February 2028 date, that's the date that was already approved for CAPSH.
Yes.
And the reason that we in the first mod had given CAPSH more time is that they were further in the system acceptance process. So we didn't want to, I'll say, reward TransCore with additional time when they hadn't reached system acceptance yet. They did receive that system acceptance last August of 22, I think, Joe. And so this time extension addresses the fact that we gave them more work to do, and it aligns the end date with CAPSH.
Yep, and that makes sense. That makes sense. We don't need to have them disjointed. So, makes sense. Any further questions from the members?
And this will go to the full board.
Yes, sir. So that being said, is there a motion for?
I'll make a motion for it.
Okay, Member Cox makes a motion. Member Gaines seconds. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Is that an aye from you, Member Gaines? I missed it.
Yes.
Okay. All right, that was all of us. So, Joe, thank you. It continues to be a tough discussion for us, as you can well imagine. So, thank you for bearing with us.
No, thank you all very much.
Yeah,
Have a
I just
good
wanted to compliment Joe too. I think you've seen his face for quite a while now, related to MDTA IT and then the 3G program. But I don't remember if he's presented at the board since coming on full time, but he officially joined us as a state employee and is the official program manager for these tolling contracts. So I just wanted to congratulate him for joining us, and he's got big thing. We've started on a roadmap for how to even make further customer enhancements and improvements in the system, and he's got a lot of activity to keep things going here, including looking for what we might do in fourth generation tolling and a lot of things in the irons in the fire. So I just want to thank him for all his work.
Thank you very much.
Welcome aboard, Joe. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks, everyone.
And we have got to see him before. So, and I got to spend almost the whole day with him. So it was good.
Yeah, that was nice.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Everybody have a safe weekend and enjoy. I don't know. We're kind of looking for rain, but I guess we're liking the sun. Enjoy it, and thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn there, Mr. Chairman.